identified as Lukman Isiaka, lured the mother of the boy to a place under the pretext of buying her a phone and abandoned her at the place and went away with the little boy by pretending to get biscuits for the baby.
This man and his wife were arrested in Edo State after they kidnapped an 18-month-old baby in Ondo State and sold it to a woman in Anambra State. Guys, the food chain of child trafficking in Nigeria is on another level. You won't believe people are making a living off kidnapping and selling little children. So, somewhere in January of 2025, Lukman and Abosede went to a woman's shop in Ondo State, targeting the woman's 18-month-old baby. They both presented themselves as siblings, even giving the woman fake names. Lukman told the woman his name was Samuel, while Abosede told the woman her name was Ewatomi. Now, this said woman probably owned a restaurant or some kind of shop, so she is serving Lukman and Abosede. In her mind, these two were siblings, because that was what they presented to her. While they were there eating, Abosede began playing with the little baby, the 18-month-old child. The woman is having a good time serving them. Lukman is having a conversation with the woman. You know, they are talking about things, talking about life, getting to know each other. Lukman is also flirting with the woman, some sort of. And I think that is why they presented as siblings, so that it will look normal, so that it will look unsuspicious of anything. It's unclear if this woman knew the two of them before now. I'm sure they may have probably come before and developed some sort of friendship, because what happened next is a little bit confusing and could only happen to somebody that you may have seen before, or maybe they were just so good that they were able to convince this woman that nothing was up their sleeves. Somewhere along the line, Osede is playing with the baby. Lukman then promises to buy this woman a mobile phone, and I think that would have come from a high rate of flirting, or maybe they've known each other for a little bit, because the end line is for them to steal that baby. And so this is what they were just doing. All these shenanigans was to distract the woman. Eventually, Lukman convinces the woman to follow him to a nearby plaza market around their neighborhood. And that was how this woman followed Lukman, with hopes that she is going to get a new mobile phone. Lukman takes this woman, they go to the plaza. It's a busy, rowdy place of some sort. So eventually, Lukman fades into the crowd. He disappears. He runs away. And this woman is looking for him. He's like, where did he go? Somewhere in her mind, she feels that, okay, this man probably got lost, or they got lost in the crowd of some sort. She's not thinking too much of it. So she goes back to her shop, because maybe the man was avoiding to pay for the food or something. In her mind, she could not understand why Lukman would ditch her at the plaza. Somewhere in her head, she did not think far. She's like, okay, thank God I didn't give him any money. So if he's running away, that is his business. The woman goes back to her shop, hoping to see the sister, hoping to even see Lukman, only to get to her shop and did not see anyone. Not even her 18-month-old baby. It was at this point that this lady knew that her child had been kidnapped. She quickly went to the police and filed a report. But they had given her fake names, and those are the names that she gave to the police. But somehow, some way, few days later, the police decided to do their job. For what is what, when Nigerian police want to work, they will work. Because even I don't know how they did it. According to them, they said it's intelligence-based action, something relating to intelligence-based intel. They were now able to trace Lukman and Abosede in Edo State. I would love to know how they did it. Like, side note, I would like to know how they were able to find these two people with the little information that they had. It could only be one or two things. Either that they've been on their radar for a while, so it was easy to probably trace them. And let's face it again, since that they will be with an 18-month-old child, they will most likely be spotted by people who would say one or two things. However, the Ondo State Police people were able to track Abosede and Lukman in Edo State, where they were instantly arrested and locked up. Lukman Isiaka is a 42-year-old man, while Abosede Olanipekun is in her 20s. She's about 23 years old. When they were caught and arrested and asked where the baby was, they informed the police that they had sold the baby to a woman in Anambra State, a 68-year-old woman named Mrs. Sabira Izuora. And this woman was instantly picked up to and equally paraded, where she admitted that yes, Lukman and Abosede usually bring babies to her, but she doesn't pay for these babies. Mrs. Sabira claims she runs an orphanage in Hehala, Anambra State, and her orphanage is registered. She had kids. Most times people bring kids that seem to be homeless to her, and all she does is find a home for these kids. She claimed that the children that Abosede and the rest bring to her, she didn't pay for them. So this is not child trafficking. She just assumed that these kids needed a home and that it's the adoptive parents of these kids that would eventually pay them. That all she gets is food stuff and a little bit of gratitude to take care of the kids in her orphanage. But the police did not buy it because the story that Lukman and Abosede gave were totally different from her. Lukman opened up and said that he had been doing this business of kidnapping kids and selling to this woman since 2023. That it was this woman who introduced him to that kind of hustle when he moved to Anambra State and worked as a bricklayer. That Sabira approached him and told him, see, what's up? If you want to make some good cash, get me babies and you'll be rich. Lukman furthermore admitted that after he brings the kidnapped children to Sabira, she pays him 500,000, 500,000 naira per child. Guys, 500,000 naira for a child. Lukman admitted that they've been doing this job since 2023 and they may have kidnapped and sold nearly from 5 to 10 kids. And they do this within Osun State and Ondo State. Nearly 11 children have been kidnapped by Lukman and his wife and sold to Sabira, who gives them 500,000 for each. If you calculate this, these people have made over nearly close to 10 million naira from these kids. Instantly, Sabira's orphanage was pretty much raided and the kids were rescued per se. And most of the kids that she had sold to people were traced by the police and many of them were recovered. From multiple locations around the 14th of January, the police made it their job to trace as much kids as they could that had been sold to different people in across the country. Because in as much as these kids were taken to Inhala, it is possible that this woman has sold these kids to people from far and wide. Now, what we don't know is the police are saying that there are still more kids that they've not been able to trace. And the sad part or the scary part is this woman claimed that she doesn't know what some of these people she gives the kids to do with the kids. They pay her 1 million naira for each child she brings to anyone. Whether the person is childless or the person wants to use it for ritual, it's not her business. All she does is, hey, what's up? There's a child available. Here you go, give me my 1M. And I think that's why she's able to pay 500,000 to the people who supply her these kids from far and wide. Immediately, these kids, and I think some of the children were brought back to Ondo State because this is where most of the kidnapping happened. A lot of these kids that were taken to Anambra State were kidnapped from Ondo State. So bringing them back made sense, along with parading them there, because the biggest crime was committed there. And these kids were put on display. Some families came to look for their missing child. One woman in particular saw her child that was kidnapped in 2023. And she was so excited. And when she saw that Lukman was involved in this, she recalled that Lukman was her neighbor, which means that he was the one who had kidnapped this child all this while. That means when they were looking for the boy, Lukman equally was looking for him, pretending to like, oh my God, we have to find him. We have to find him. All the while, he had done it. This story kind of just leaves open the possibility that we got to be careful with our kids because we don't know. Anything could happen. The way Lukman and Abosede were able to successfully, in less than 1 year, kidnap 11 children shows you that this thing is as easy as it gets. According to them, they target kids who are with either single parents or who are barely supervised, kids that are not with adults. All they have to do is promise to give them money, ask them to follow them, pretend to care. I'm like, oh, where's your mom? Uncle, I have to take you home. And these kids will trust them. They will buy the kids gifts, offer them sweets, offer them money, and promise to take them to their parents, put them in a vehicle, and take them to Anambra State. It's 500,000 naira. The transport fare back and forth is not even going to be any stress. Once they just say a child, it's free money for them. It's big money. They take the child and give it to Miss Sabira, and that's all. That is all they need to do. They don't need to sign documents. And since they're a couple, Even if they are seen by police, caught in traffic, they will most likely get away with it. Because half the time the kids at the target are the ones who barely can speak or who are not as loud. If it's some kids with sharp mouths, maybe this man and his wife would have been exposed along the way. The sad part is Sabira claimed that she's a retired director from the Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, which is all the more scary. This is a woman whose job it is to protect women and children. And after her retirement, she decided to prey on them. Whenever I hear things like this, it scares me. I remember a woman in my neighborhood back then whose child went missing. And from what we heard, there's people who spotted it say they saw a supposed Christian woman who, told the boy to follow her. They should take him to a lesson or church. One of those things. Let's go for lesson for free. You don't have to worry. And that's how the boy left. It's just scary because one of the scariest part about having kids get trafficked is that, first of all, kids are not people who can speak up for themselves. And also, by the way, a lot of the children, their names were also changed. So the identity would be changed. Many of them would not even remember what their name was because they are so young. Babies were also rescued from these people. A lot of these, like babies, kids between the 2 months to 2, 3, 4 years old. Some of them would have been there long enough because this woman's orphanage has been there for over since 2020. So it's a scary thing. And to see that this woman just gives out the kids to whoever is willing to pay is what scares me the most, because she don't even know what these kids are being used for. She don't know and she don't care. It's business, my dear. Whether these kids will be molested, abused, enslaved, or given how Nigeria is with money rituals and all these fetish charms and juju, you can imagine the fate of some of these kids that could not be rescued. The police also agreed that they will arrest anybody, like if they're just going to rescue a child from a parent who is, even if you love the child, even if you didn't have kids, you're so desperate and you really want this child to be, they will lock you up, and as they should. Because why do you think you want to buy a kid, a human being, for 1 M? You have ulterior motive, and I don't trust it. A child that you carry for 9 months in your womb, you most definitely like the child more than the child that you will buy for 1 million naira from an orphanage in Ihala. They have ulterior motive, and they should be locked up, in my opinion. Another interesting thing that was said in this story was that after the kids were rescued, they realized that in as much as these kids were stolen from a Yoruba land, some of them were already speaking Igbo. So to tell you that most of them have been there for a very long while and they've most likely been indoctrinated, it's sickening. I don't know. It's just troubling for the most part. I wish this story would get to the right audience, and how important for parents to put an eye on their child and trust no one. Trust no one, not your neighbor, not even your family friend, not your co-worker, not even your own brothers and siblings. Like, you got to know where your kids are at every point. Any slight second that you are turning away from a child is an opportunity for them to be kidnapped and trafficked. It's an opportunity. And then I know it's a lot to deal with kids. Me personally, I have babysat kids, and it's a scary thing. For 1 second that you turn away, if they're not doing something to injure themselves, you're giving an opportunity for someone else to do something to them. And man, things like this will make me fear to have kids. Because if I do have kids, I will have to carry them everywhere I go, like strap them to my chest, like suicide bombing. Like they'll be strapped, because I don't want, or even put a monitor or put a chip on them to track their location wherever they are. So I'll be tracking them with my iPad, because this is a scary thing. I can't imagine how that woman felt coming back to her shop and not seeing her baby, like not seeing your child. That is a terrible feeling, because I remember still that woman back then in my former neighborhood that her child was kidnapped. Her life went downhill from there. Her life went downhill. It's in as much as she had other kids, things change. Things will change. It's one thing to lose a child, fell sick and died. There is closure there, but to not know where your child is, to know that you messed up, to know that you were careless, to know that if you had just paid a little bit attention, and then to imagine the worst. Are they happy? Are they fine? Are they being killed? Are they being tortured? Are they being enslaved? Are they being abused? One thing I've always said when it comes to native doctors, ritualists, and kidnappers like this, there is a chain. I don't know if the police don't listen to me, or maybe is it cost effective? If you catch one ritualist, you will catch 20 more. They know each other. If you catch one human parts dealer, from that one human part dealer, you're able to catch 20 more. I understand that maybe the law is you have to be caught in the act. So if some person confess this, confess that, there's still not enough to tie them up. But at least it will keep you on a radar of people to look at. I think that's how Americans, their intelligence and their police department, they do it. Even if they've not caught you yet, they are watching you. If they catch this human and baby traffic people, this woman, apart from Lukman and his wife, she has other suppliers. Now we know about Lukman and his wife and all the kids that is in an orphanage and that they've sold. What about the ones that come to her from other places? I'm sure there are multiple Lukman and Bosede elsewhere. This woman is already lying that she has stopped collecting babies from there. She does not know, she does not pay, and she's already acting like she's sick. You see the picture, the way her face is looking, acting like she has some kind of stroke. Lady, your stroke has not started. How I wish these parents just gather up and give you multiple strokes of the cane and beat the strokes out of you, because now you want to act like you're dying because you're about to go to jail. They need to ask her who else supplies her kids, and those people needs to be found. Because all the kids in the orphanage, I don't think it's only Lukman that supplies it from Ondo. I'm sure there are multiple people who supply her kids. And if they can find her and make her confess, they will get more people. Otherwise, if they lock her up and lock these people up, this child trafficking would continue. We can reduce it if we just find out other people who might be in this business. And maybe not arrest them right away, but keep an eye on them and watch them. And then maybe we'll see. This is horrifying. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification button. So should there be any new video, you'll be the first to get notified.